Hey folks, welcome back to Indaba Africa. This is Chris here on Chris White Africa, the Indaba Africa channel on a Saturday, the 19th of September 2020. Welcome back once again. I do hope that you folks are well and that you were able to get some rest. I got a little bit of rest this morning. I was up quite early to do a live stream of the WitKruis monument there in northern, what used to be the Transvaal. Near what was Petersburg, now called Polokwane, not too far from that. The monument that, of course, is dedicated to those who have been brutally murdered and or tortured across South Africa's rural farm areas. And so today, what I've got is a special treat for you. My guest is Jannie Meyer. I'm going to bring him on in just a moment. Jannie was my intrepid on-the-scene reporter, although Vodacom or whatever network he was relying on wasn't the most reliable, and so we had some difficulty. But when Steve Hofmeyer was on the stage, he sang a song and spoke quite eloquently about the situation. Jannie was there. So, folks, I'm going to bring Jannie in right now. So here's Jannie right there. Jannie, welcome to the channel.
Thank you very much, Chris. Nice to be here again.
No, it's a pleasure to have you. Listen, hey, buy a donkey for this morning. It was very kind of you to offer to cover that for us and help us get the word out about what's happening in South Africa.
Well, thanks. I haven't done one of those for a long time, so I was looking forward to it and really enjoyed it. I need a bit of practice, and next time a bit more better equipment and some, set up the internet better and so on. So apologies for that, guys.
No worries. Listen, beggars can't be choosers. We don't have access to top of the line stuff all the time, so we do the best we can. And I've looked. I'm not certain, but it looks like this broadcast might have been the only international broadcast that was covering the event at all. Scott Balson's Loving Life had a broadcast, but from what I saw, that was an hour-long program that had previous footage from previous years. So I think we might have been the only live coverage. So you're on the international stage there, Jannie.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Enjoy it. Let's take the message out there, Chris.
Yeah, let's keep it going. So listen, Jannie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, so people kind of know who you are, other than just this oak that's looking quite attractive there on the screen?
I just happened to have grown my beard during lockdown because to buy blades was taboo. It was banned to buy shaving blades.
Now, hold on a second, Jannie. Let me ask you a question. So you're saying that's your lockdown beard?
This is my lockdown beard, and I just kept it because it's quite nice. It's almost like yours, not as long.
Well, I was going to say that. Listen, if that's your lockdown beard, I'm not that impressed, my friend. I mean, this is a lockdown beard.
No, look, I enjoy my beard. I've had one when I was a student. I am actually conservative boykie now, born in Pretoria in South Africa. Ek is Afrikaans sprekend, maar my work and also Deal Medium School, I'm versed in English, can speak a bit of German as well, and a bit of French too. And so I did my Navy training after I graduated at University of Cape Town. I'm an architect. I've got my B.Arch then, which is equal to M.Arch now as an architect. And I do specialize in shopping centers, big shopping centers and so on. Of course, everybody is struggling at the moment with work. And the BEE restrictions, it's not helping at all. So, I did my military service in the Navy, and then as an architect employed at Quartermaster General, where I was lucky enough to assist military intelligence to relocate from the Pointons building to Liberty Life in Pretoria and so on. Now that was a very interesting experience. So I learned a lot about and who these people were, how many were there, etc., etc. Very interesting. And then after that, basically, I decided it was the P.W. Botha era where he wanted to cross the Rubicon, but he didn't, and everybody blamed him, including myself, because I was a very, very liberal Afrikaner, and decided to go to Canada because there was just no option. What was the future? ANC or a far-right government, as I decided I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I immigrated to Canada for a very short time because it's just too bloody cold there. And there was, I missed, you know, you think you're a South African, you watch a program then Dallas, and then that makes you an American, or it doesn't. When you end up in Canada or the US, you quickly realize as an African, Afrikaner, you know, the Afrikaner is Afrikaans for an African. And that is the irony of it. You know, we are white Africans. You actually realize that you are an African or white African. You miss the place. You miss the earth. You miss the smell of rain.
Jannie, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there's distortion on your end. It's coming through, and it's getting progressively worse. So it was distracting, but now people can't hear you. Maybe if you exit the room and then come back in, maybe you'll get a better connection. Can we try that? I apologize for interrupting you, but everybody's commenting on it here, and they're getting distracted from what you're saying. So can we try that? Maybe if you exit the Zoom and then come back in.
Okay, so just shut down my telephone. Maybe I've got Zoom on there as well.
It almost sounds like somebody's got a radio jammer that's trying to block your signal.
Oh, here we go, German again. Huh? Go out and come back in.
Okay.
Literally.
All right, folks. He's going to exit now. I'm distorted.
Exit.
Yeah, and then come back in.
You want to leave me? I can leave you.
You can leave me, and then you should be able to come back in. If you can't, I'll send you another link.
Okay, I'll go. I'm leaving the meeting. How do I sign the sound now?
No, it's still distorted. Okay, yeah, it's definitely on his end. Okay, because he just left. All right, so let me get back here, folks. My apologies for that. Wow, we're having all kinds of fun this weekend, aren't we? With nonsense happening here on the channel with all kinds. Why is my video not full screen there? That's bizarre. All right, let me adjust that really quickly, and let me get the back up. There we go, full screen. Anyway, folks, yeah, that's Jannie Meyer, and he's having a little trouble there with the sound. My apologies for that. Center on screen, fit to screen. There we go. No, that's not right. That's odd. Transform, center on screen. Okay, this thing is not right. That's weird. Anyway, there we go. So, yeah, weird things now happening with Zoom, with this connection. It was fine when we started. We talked perfectly fine for a long time. Then suddenly it got kind of funky there. Yeah, I know you couldn't hear him, Catherine. I saw all the comments, guys. I actually hear it before you do, so thank you. I was aware that there was a problem because I am a couple seconds ahead of you on the transmission, so I was aware the problem was coming. But I did want to interrupt him. I could still hear him, although it was distracting, but then it just became out of control. So thank you for that, folks. We'll get him back here shortly. He's trying to come back in now. Let's, fingers crossed, ich drücke die Daumen, and hopefully it will work. Here we go. I'm going to try and get him back here. Slope one day when he grows up wants a beard like mine. All right, folks, let's see if we can get Jannie back in here. Let's fingers crossed. Okay, he's back. Let's see if we can hear him. Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, and it sounds good. Okay, let me take us off the screen and get back to, there we go. Okay, folks. Jannie, I think that, let me give you a recap there. You were talking about your experience in Canada where it was just too damn cold, and then you were kind of conveying to people that when you go abroad, you think you can just move abroad, but you really miss home. It's not home no matter where you go, and that's kind of where your voice got distorted by the transmission or the red ants who were out there with the radio jammers, whichever it was. So if you could pick up from there.
Yeah. Okay, being away from my country and knowing the potential threat in South Africa, I started getting very, very worried. And that was the first time that my mind started changing. And I realized that there's an onslaught against us. And I wanted to come back desperately. I wanted to tell the people here that we are under attack. We need to group together. We need to eradicate the verlichte Afrikaners. That time there were two factions, the conservatiewe Conservatives and the verlichtes. The verlichtes is F.W. de Klerk but Botha, Meyer, and that crowd.
Is that mean?
And
Does that
then
mean the enlightened?
yeah, the liberals, the
Yeah.
enlightened, so-called enlightened, and they had mainstream media with them. Uh, they controlled SABC, the TV, etc., and that was at the time. So they sold this idea of peace and the elections, and they actually didn't have permission even to negotiate with the ANC. They negotiated with ANC, and then later on, midstream through the negotiation, and they couldn't go back, they called for the referendum. Maar die koel was uit deur die kerk, a deal was done. And this was just dotting the I's and crossing the T's, basically. So, yeah, but anyway, I was a young guy at the time, and I focused on my architecture, and I wasn't really interested in politics whatsoever. I have a passion for my work, my job, architecture, and I think out of the box a lot. I've done quite a bit of work as a student on the VNA concept, Victoria and Alfred concept. As a student, worked for he calls himself the author, but it was really the students who designed the Victoria and Alfred waterfront, but never really got credit for it. Anyway, so yes, and I spent some time in the Navy, and I was allocated to Quartermaster General as an architect, helped the military intelligence to relocate. That was interesting. And when I came back from Canada, I had my own practice for a while, and I was doing well. I lived up in Pretoria. I'm not going to go into my personal details, but second time that I've been divorced. Architects, we work very, very long hours, and unfortunately, marriages don't all last that long. I look back and I regret, obviously, you get more mature as you get a bit older, but it's then too late. So yeah, that's basically it. I was a director at two big firms, well-known architectural firms, Bentel Architects, specializing in shopping centers, big shopping centers, and also the biggest practice at the time in Africa called Stauch, Stauch, Fossa. And those firms are, they struggle to survive. They're taken over by engineers or overseas clients, an Indian developer, so on. And yeah, here we sit, and our work gets less and less and less. And of course, this time of COVID, there's blood in the streets. People are really suffering. But an event in 2014, beginning 2015, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I was never very naive about New World Order, international terrorism and stuff. And I was really not interested in that, just minding my own business, making a livelihood, etc., etc. And in end of 2014, and this is why I'm telling you this, is because it was a game changer in my life. I became aware of the environment, of the evil that is lurking out there, hiding itself in many guises. I was very, as an architect, I took great interest in the 9/11 attack. And I was, in fact, on my way to Greece with the VNA people to look at waterfronts in Greece when this attack happened. In fact, I dreamt about it 2 days or 3 days before the attack. So I was aware of it, and I studied it, and I know how the structure works, etc. And I've studied Bin Laden, and I've read your reports and so on about why there was a failure and etc. But in 2014, I went for a holiday in a very quaint, off the beaten track off the grid holiday town, seaside holiday town. It was in the Southern Cape, towards the Eastern Cape. And I lived there with a friend of mine and battling as well. And she said to me, for extra money, she houses students who come for summer camps or whatever, take English lessons and so on. So I thought, well, this is fine. And then she said something which made me sit upright. She said to me, you know what? These are mainly Muslim students. And they come periodically over a few years. And they attend a avionic English language school in this little holiday resort town. And I looked at this and I said, good grief, what the hell is going on here? I then, because of course I would never have taken interest in this, Chris, unless I wasn't, I took an interest in 9/11. But anyway, long story short, what happened was that there was this, I'm not sure where there still is, the school, and who got students from various countries. They are Muslim students, off the grid people, being paid in cash, the monies, the lodging fees. And these chaps start off with a small private pilot's license, and they go up to ATPL licenses in Joburg and graduate as pilots. And the funny thing is that I met the teacher, the owner of the school eventually, because I wanted to find out more. And apparently there were fighter pilots as well from some of the Muslim countries, especially Libya at the time, who came in here and who trained and converted and got licenses in the simulators in PE specifically to fly Boeings and Airbuses. So, and you can now put one and one together.
Well, this is very much a different direction than I thought we would be going, but it is interesting. Please continue.
But you know why I'm telling you this? I'm telling you this because I was a naive guy before, and I never thought anything would happen. But I've got a massive imagination, and I could see a virtual Air Force being formed 6 years, 10 years in the future, and one specific weekend, buildings are attacked, etc. That was a major event in my life. That's why I'm sharing it with you. And after that, I became more involved in social media. When Trump got elected, I was exposed to alternative media, specifically the plight of our people, Afrikaners. I became more and more conservative, not far right wing. I mean, I've got a black partner that I still work with sometimes, and I'm not a racist whatsoever, but I'm very concerned about the minority whites and the brainwashing that is happening, our culture that is being eradicated and erased. Kids don't understand where we come from, and so on. So the awareness of that. And as a result, I have gone into, and I've made it my business to meet some of the leaders of groups. You would have noticed that Hein Marx and myself, we know each other well. I'm doing some work for him in the Southern Cape. I'm an architect on a retirement village that he's busy with there. A hell of a nice guy, a lot of respect for him. And another guy, Dirk Herman, a fantastic chappie as well. I try not to take sides and become involved in politics. I try and see everybody's point of view, and some groups I understand their concepts and the way forward that their thinking is, etc. And I happen to think that a lot of these people have got a lot of common ground. And there's not one plan which is the right plan. Everybody. State-Landers plan is a good plan, but it's not the only plan. It's not the alpha and omega. Same with Heinz plant. Same with Apiforum's plant. But there are commonalities and common denominators that must be thrashed out in a think tank and so on. There's a lot of good and clever boykies out there. Only problem is to bring them together.
Well, I got to tell you quickly, that was a fascinating introduction there, telling us about how you got to where you're at now and how you reached this worldview. But I got a couple things I got to share with you very quickly. One, I've never been naive about the threat. I'll tell you that. Of course, lifelong intelligence officer. I've always been a conservative, and which has nothing to do with being an intelligence officer. It just happens to be who I am. I've always been a conservative since I was a young man, before I even matured. But I will say this, I do have empathy for you, and I will take it easy on you as a guest. I mean, anyone that suffers through serving in a Navy must be given some deference because they're working at a severe disadvantage and handicap. So I'll give you a break on that one. And then the other thing, Jannie, I wanted to ask you is, I'm going to guess that when you went to UCT, there were no hashtag, science must fall signs back in those days, and fees must fall. And I'm guessing that you probably had to score more than 30% on your matrix exams in order to go to UCT. I'm just guessing. Does that sound right?
Well, it's yes, absolutely. I'm going to. That is a joke, but it's also not a joke. At the time, there were two universities. No, let's start off with the easy part.
Okay.
Yes, you had to get high marks, and you had to go. Entry exams were very difficult for professionals. Engineers, the best doctor, medical faculty, etc., etc. Before even joining, you need to do aptitude. We had to do aptitude tests, etc., etc., and so on. But the standards were so high that the RIBA, Royal Institute of British Architects, acknowledged our degrees that we got from our universities here, and made it possible for us to do via an entry exam to go and work in the UK. So that the standard was very high. Obviously, that doesn't exist anymore. The lecturers, specifically when I joined UCT, it was pre-post-apartheid. They were always talking, the lecturers there, post-apartheid. UCT was a communist cesspit. Black Lives Matter and all that probably started at universities outside America, like specifically Wits University and UCT. My cousin and her husband happened to be communists, very similar to the Breitenbachs, the Jan Breitenbach and his brother, who is the communist poet. And they've done a lot of damage. They instituted left-wing thinking at UCT. Her husband, Charles Newpen, was heading up, I'm not sure whether you know that name, you should, heading up the NISAS, who was a very liberal communist student arm, and they did a lot to overthrow the government through their thinking, through their viewpoints, protesting, and so on. And I stayed with them for a couple of months when I was in Cape Town. And I'm not a stupid guy, I don't think, and I had a dual medium education, so I understand English. But they had communist guests staying at their house, specifically from the UK. It was quite funny. And I was invited to sit and participate, but the vocabulary that these people use, it made me drunk. It is just, it's just unbelievable. The words and what it means, and it's just a totally different language. But eventually Charles Newpen, so I understand the left wing, and eventually Charles Newpen became advisor to, I think, Nelson Mandela, and he made a lot of money out of mediating. He started the South African Trade Union Mediation Association, and of course Coca-Cola and other companies, if there was a dispute, had to pay on behalf of the workers his fees.
Of course.
I mean, he's become such a wealthy guy out of that. It's the irony of it.
It's a good gig if you can get it. That's a good way to make money if you're a communist.
Yeah, absolutely. My cousin Renee knew him, and I saw her as the chairperson at the when did Zuma take over? 27.
That sounds right. Yes.
Polokwane conference, ANC conference.
Yeah, no, I call that the Polokwane massacre, because that's the day that democracy died, when they removed the president of the country because he's no longer the leader of the party. Obviously, he was removed a few months after that when he resigned, but essentially, in effect, we saw Thabo Mbeki was removed at the Polokwane massacre.
And she was the chairperson. Now, her claim to fame is she started the Independent Electoral Commission, IEC, so-called independent,
yes,
arch communist. Okay, she built it up and handed it over, or sold it because it was a private enterprise, and made a lot of money out of it, by the way, to others. And they still support the ANC. They are as independent as, I don't know what you want to call it. They are so biased. And I'm of the opinion that the ANC will never lose an election. They will cheat, they will crook, there will be violence. I have never seen in Africa, do you know of one terrorist organization who's taken power and who relinquished power through the ballot box? I can't think of one.
No, I can't. Not when you say terrorist organization. I've seen political parties that have relinquished power, but not terrorist organizations like ZANU-PF or ANC. No, I haven't seen that. Yeah, that's true. Folks, you're listening. Let me get in here a second real quick, Jannie. So, folks, you're listening to Chris White Africa on the Indaba Africa channel here on YouTube. I'm Chris. I'm in Central Pennsylvania. My special feature guest on my Saturday stream today is Jannie Meyer. He's been telling us about his maturation, his experiences, his running off to Canada for a bit where it was just too damn cold. But that's what happens for Navy guys. They get coddled in the Navy where they get all these nice luxuries. So they're not used to being real soldiers like Army men like myself. So we'll forgive him for that. But Jannie is an architect, and we're talking about the late stages, the end of apartheid at the moment. And we're going to get to a little bit later in the stream, talking about today's events at the WitKruis Monument. But this is an interesting conversation. So, folks, thanks for tuning in. By the way, is the like button damaged? We have 92 people watching the stream right now and 36 likes. Come on. Let's reach down there, smash the like button so that other people become aware of this video and get a chance to watch it. Thank you very much. Bye bye, donkey. K.A. All right, Jannie, please continue.
Yeah, so I don't believe, a lot of people believe there is a political solution in this country. I actually don't think there is. This terrorist organization is in it for life. They said that they will be ruling until Jesus comes back. And they're on record of saying that. Very blasphemous. So I think people are wasting their time trying to get a political solution, unfortunately. I think that if you look at where Malema was, and he's an example for all, where he's very successful is his militancy and his ability to lead and through rhetoric and violent protests. I'm not saying we should do violent protests. It's not in our nature to take to the streets and to put everything on fire and to, necklace people. But this is what these people are doing. But we're going to have to counter somehow. And people refer to the bikers who actually started 41,000 bikers the other day in Pretoria and more all over the country. And they really ignited this whole local farm murder acknowledgement. Most people in this country, I still believe, are not interested. White people, Afrikaners, Boere, and English and Eurokaners, as they are called. Many Portuguese and Italians living in Greeks also in this country.
Portuguese,
most people are, they fled from the colonies,
Yep.
So a lot of people are not interested, and quite frankly, one can blame them. But they're just carrying on, 9 to 5 jobs, get their salaries, etc. Watch the rugby, and rugby is a very important thing. Our sport is a very important thing, with huge ramifications. If absolutely, and ek is 'n ou noodtransvaler, ou
Ah,
Bill.
okay. Well, I'm actually a
Yeah,
Stormers fan, but out of respect, I wore this.
yeah, that's my second team.
What's your first team?
Yeah, real men and women play rugby.
That's true. That's absolutely true. What's your first team?
My first team is the Bulls.
Oh, this is a Bulls
I
jersey.
like,
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
This is a Bulls jersey.
I like. I grew up. I had my schooling next to Loftus. We practiced on the B and C fields of Loftus as a small little guy, and I could run like hell. But then I went to art ballet music school to study the arts, and your hands and your head, you need to keep them intact and so on. So all I
Well, I've actually been
and
I've been to Loftus for rugby, of course, but also sacrilegiously for the FIFA World Cup. I was also there to watch a game against Denmark and Cameroon. I rooted for Denmark.
yeah, they were the underdogs, eh?
Yeah,
Fantastic at the time.
yeah, but they won the game against Cameroon, so it was a pretty good game.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, Chris, and I've then become involved in. I enjoy public speaking. As an architect, there was nothing nicer than selling a project or an idea to a big corporate like the old Sanlam or Old Mutual, and those were the clients at the day. And then those guys would sit opposite you, and they would look at you, and and you need to be able to convince them and have the right body language, etc. And the more difficult the audience, the more I like it. So and it comes natural. You lose your touch. And I started following Toekomsfonk, Swart Maandag, specifically Swart Maandag, and I started broadcasting for Valerie and so on, Bielefeld. I don't know whether you've had her on your show. She's
No.
really worthwhile having. Also, one of the pioneers of protests against farm murders, were really worthwhile. And she's planning with others on the 25th of October a massive march. So yeah, and I assisted Scott as well in his program a couple of times. I've got the greatest of respect for Scott. And yeah, and I stopped it basically since August last year, and I felt a bit uncomfortable because I was becoming too well known.
Ah.
And it's better to be under the radar with these guys.
Hey Yanni, I'm
Again,
sorry to interrupt again, but the red ants are at it again. The sound is cracking on your side again. So my apologies. Can we get you to try to exit and come back in again? Because people are having a hard time hearing. Sorry about that. Folks, give us a second here. Please be patient as we overcome the technical difficulties. Yanni is going to exit the Zoom and then come back in. Hopefully the sound will be clear again. So let me give him a second here to do that. All right, so he's departed. Let me give him a second to come back in. Yeah, it's definitely on his end because it's crystal clear on this end. So let me give Yanni a second to come back in. This is really weird. I guess the red ants have some kind of jamming capability wherever he's located at, and they've nailed him down. Yeah, Olaf says Neil Diamond, crackling roses. Crackling rose. Yeah, no doubt. Neil Diamond rocks, ladies and gentlemen. Is Neil Diamond not the best? He's awesome. Amazing performer. Yes, so hopefully we get Yanni back here in just a second. I was very sorry about interrupting him. It was a fascinating conversation to that point. We'll get him back in here in just a moment. And hopefully the sound, last time we came back in, it was perfect. The sound was wonderful, at least for about 25 minutes, and then suddenly we started getting this. Marty says, nice haircut, Chris. Looking fresh. Well, thank you very much. Well-groomed, eh? Look at that. Nice and well-coiffed. Yes, that's the intent here. So Yanni is still out. Let's see if we can get him back here in a second. Anyway, folks, you're tuned into Chris White Africa on a Saturday, the 19th of September 2020, the day after the passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the rock-ribbed, die-hard, dyed-in-the-wool progressive member of the Supreme Court, has passed away yesterday. Here he comes. Let's get him back in here. And now it'll be up to Trump to nominate a new member to the court after the election. He gets reelected. So Yanni's coming back in. All right. How's that? Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, the crackling is gone again. Like I said, I think the red ants have been hired by the Johannesburg Metro to come up there and harass you, and they've got little radio jammers or something. Anyway, but now we can hear you fine. All right, sorry about that, Yanni, but people couldn't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, my light is off here. I had a little light here, an LED light, and I just thought maybe it interferes as well.
Well,
Yeah,
we can see you now. It just looks like you got John Lennon glasses on, but it's good to go.
yeah, these are my John Lennon glasses. Yeah, so no, but that what you're talking about, we joke about it, but the cats crimes against the state units and those guys have got very, very sophisticated monitoring equipment. And as soon as somebody is starting to stir, or if I phone or contact somebody at the Boerelegioen, they then catch up and they start monitoring you. And that's one of the reasons why I just dropped out a little bit August last year.
No, I got you, but let me jump in there something really quickly that annoys me, and maybe I can get your thoughts on this. It's fascinating how people against gangsterism and drugs can grow into a terrorist organization, and the state ignores it until after the Planet Hollywood is bombed. And then suddenly they devote resources, and within a matter of weeks, people against gangsterism and drugs is never a domestic terrorist threat ever again. They still exist, but they're not a domestic terrorist threat. And it's even more fascinating how they can infiltrate multiple white Afrikaans-speaking spies into the Boeremag and disrupt and round up and imprison everybody in the Boeremag in a matter of weeks when it's a threat that they perceive to the ANC. Yet people are murdered on farms across South Africa in what's clearly an orchestrated effort in some cases by criminal syndicates and who knows who else. But there are also crimes of opportunity. But they do nothing. They disband the commando system over a decade ago, took away 168 regiments. They have minimized rural security. It's funny how the ANC government, when they feel threatened, they have the resources to deal with it instantly. And that's what I'm alluding to. You're talking about the radio equipment that they have. But when it's someone who's a citizen of the country, they can't be bothered.
Yeah, I know it's double standards. Double standards. There was a lady on for a short while. What was her name? Jannie Oosthuizen. Very shortly, and I'm not sure whether you were on or I was on at that time. I think I still was, but she's from Ceres, and her brother was a farmer in Boschkop, which is about 50 kilometers from me here. And he was murdered. There were 5 of them who killed him. And they basically took nothing, okay? The police did nothing. She flew up from Ceres to find out what's going on with the case. The forensics were messed up. The forms, I mean, unbelievable. You must interview her story. It's absolutely crazy. They just don't care. They just don't care. And unfortunately, if I get into a police station now, and then you actually risk your freedom, you can get arrested very quickly for some odd reason. When that black first, land first chap, what's his name, Andile, when he launched his political party in Rustenburg and he started making threats about killing babies and raping women or whatever he said, I went to Bronkhorstspruit police station here and I laid a charge. Mm-hmm. But they wanted to arrest me. How could I do that to one of their comrades? And they laughed at me. And then eventually I had a white warrant officer who came past and I said to him, I want to lay a charge. And I did, and so did many other people over the country. But do you think anything happened to that guy?
No.
No. And he didn't do well at politically, but he doesn't need to do well politically because he's got the exposure and people listen to him.
That's all he's looking for. Meanwhile, you see Penny Sparrow, who does a rather rude and crude comment on Twitter, her life destroyed, her job lost. You see Vicky Momberg, a victim of violent crime in Johannesburg, who is in shock, and she's responding in shock, and then she uses the K word, and she becomes a convicted felon and is sent to prison for speech. She didn't incite violence. She didn't call for the overthrow of the state. She simply was angry and was distraught and in shock after having nearly lost her life and been robbed at gunpoint. And so she responds to that, and she is convicted as a felon and sent to prison, her liberty taken away. This is the world, you know, when the British lost the battle at Yorktown to the French and Americans, and we gained our independence informally at the Battle of Yorktown, the British band played "The World Turned Upside Down." I think that's a song that should be played every day in South Africa, because in cloud cuckoo land south, the world indeed has turned upside down these days.
Certainly. I don't know where this is going to end, Chris. I really don't know. People are waiting like sheep. A colleague of mine had somebody work with him, for him in Pretoria here, and he's a Portuguese guy. They tried, him and his family tried to flee from Mozambique, from Lorenzo Marques Maputo at the time. They also waited until the last moment and day when power was handed over to Frelimo. And then all hell broke loose. They all tried to get to the airport in their cars. Of course, it was a traffic snarl. And everybody could see in their back rear mirrors that there are terrorists and people, or whatever you want to call them, approaching, torching every car with its inhabitants with Molotov cocktails. And these people were simply sitting, waiting for their turn. He was in the car with his sister, his mother, and his father. They were frozen. He managed to escape and then get through to Durban, through Mozambique and Swaziland and so on. But I feel that that is exactly what is happening now. That is what is happening. We are trying to be, and we are, law-abiding citizens, because we can get arrested for even talking about war. And nobody in this country wants war. Not if you have fought a war. Look, I haven't been in the trenches myself. I've supported the people in the trenches, but there are people who have been like Colonel Wynand de Tooy. I don't know whether, well, he's Afrikaans channel. I must get him to actually do some English programs as well.
Well, he'll be coming on my channel shortly. I sent him a message yesterday. Some folks have been asking him to come on for a long time. I had difficulty reaching him, but I'm now in contact, and so I'll be interviewing him sometime soon on the channel. I'm a little confused, though, because I thought he retired as a major, but people keep calling him a colonel, so I'm going to have to ask him about that. Whoops. Did we lose our connection to Jannie? It got awful quiet there. Jannie, I think you've disappeared. Let me see what's going on here. Yeah, he's still there, but let me take him off the screen for a second here, folks. All right, so, whoops, he's still on there, so that's odd. Folks, that's Jannie Meyer. We're talking, I was just talking there about Wynand de Tooy, who will be appearing on the channel sometime very soon. Hopefully we'll get that set up for next week. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, the gremlins are definitely at it there, Shack Dweller. People are having fun. Borgamog Colonel, not Sadef Colonel. Ah, that's why. Okay, hang on a second. Let me fix this. There we go. So he's dropped off. Let me give him a second to get back in here. That's why. Okay, because people keep calling him a colonel, and I'm like, no, he served in the SADF. He was a major. Okay, so that clarifies it for me. Thank you so much for that, Proudly Neanderthal. That does help it. Yeah, someone's working against Jannie. Well, they're working against Chris Wide Africa too, folks. Notice that the number of subscribers has stagnated on the channel again. Now, I realize I was gone for a week, but I've been back. We've had some amazing guests on the channel. Dr. Victor Davis Hanson was on the channel this week. We had Daniel DiMartino on the channel yesterday, a Venezuelan political scientist, PhD candidate who fled from socialism in Venezuela, and quite an articulate young man. We had him on yesterday. Also had my state representative, Don Kiefer, on the channel. So we've been quite busy since I got back, and we're kind of doing this flat line with subscribers. Lots of strange things happening, but a lot of folks tuned in right now. Thank you, folks, very much. Bye-bye, Donkey. Looks like Jannie's coming back. Oops, no, he dropped off again. So I was about to get him in there, and then he dropped off for just a second. So, yeah, many thanks to those watching the program now on my regular Saturday show. This is the show I've always had here on Chris Wide Africa. ever since April when I started doing live streams. And we had just 187 subscribers on the channel, now over 8,000, despite YouTube's shenanigans when it comes to subscribers, folks. Erica's having bad buffering. It must be on your end, Erica, because I've got a good connection and it's playing well on this side. So it's got to be on your side. Sorry about that. Let me catch up on the chat while I wait for Jannie to get back because like I said, he's lost his connection there. So let's get back to some of the things here. Mara, there's Jannie. Let's get him in here. Maybe we won't get to the chat as we get Jannie in. Mara's saying, yeah, it's not safe to go to police stations. That's really sad, isn't it? Just Me says, who rules South Africa? The ANC? Who rules the ANC? Hamas, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, similar Mozambique. And there's Jannie. He's back. Jannie, are the red ants out there with pickaxes digging at your cables? What's going on? We lost you again.
I'm hiding away so far in the bush. It may very well be my signal here.
Could be.
I've got an antenna that just protrudes the highest tree here. So maybe there's some thunderstorms out there or winds blowing, etc. So it could happen or it could be them. I don't know.
All right,
anything is possible.
We got you back for the minute. Hey, can we, if you don't mind, can we shift a little bit for the moment and let's talk? We were talking about Wyan Tutoy. Like I said, hopefully he'll be on the channel sometime soon. I'm in contact with him now, but let's talk specifically about today's event, if you don't mind, because you offered to cover the event today, the WitKruis monument, the White Cross monument there outside of Polokwane, formerly Petersburg, in the old Transvaal in the north of South Africa. You covered that today for us, despite the difficulty with the networks. We actually did get to hear all of Steve Hofmeyer's song and his speech. It was quite stirring. Although my Afrikaans is not ideal, I can understand it when I listen to it, and I was moved emotionally by it. I suspect you were as well. It seemed like people really were taken by the words he had to say today.
Yeah, very true. I interviewed quite a few people on my walk up the hill as well. I think some of those interviews got to you. I'm not sure whether you actually received them all. But what was apparent is that it was an extremely emotional event. I have never attended, it's my first time that I attended WitKruis Monumentdag. And Chris, people had sorrow, heartbroken, family was there. People who experienced this firsthand, also victims, having been assaulted, recovered, so on. Oudsteders, veterans. There was a chap here, I sent you a link where he was in the Parabats. But they waited 25 years for us to get old to start their hullabaloo, and that's not a coincidence. And you also had people there who were desperate. You could see the body language. And then there was real anger, tacit anger. You could feel it. Mm-hmm. Certain comments were made there, Afrikaans comments. You feel that people do not have the opportunity to vent their frustration, to vent their anger. It was made worse by lockdown and the restrictions and violence shown against us, specifically in Cape Town and so on. On attending events and protests are very important for us. It will become more important because we need to vent our anger, our frustration. Otherwise, people will start shooting. And there are groups who are. I saw the AWB there today. I'm not saying they will. I'm not sure how strong their leadership is. But they were there, parat, So people are watching, and they are getting tired of waiting in the cars, seeing the Molotov cocktails being thrown, at the cars at the back. We cannot continue in this way. Something has to break, Chris. I just don't know what.
No, it's absolutely crazy. So there's a couple things coming on here. Let me just get those very quickly from the chat. So Olaf said that, well, let me get back to Olaf in a second, but Althea Hunsel Smith said all farmers should go on strike. The twits in the cities know nothing about their food chain. But Althea, I've heard members of the ANC's parliamentary delegation tell us that they don't need the farms because they get their food from Pick and Pay and from Checkers. So why would we need farmers? Yeah, anyway. Shack Dweller says, apart from being farmers and location, the brutality they inflict is abnormal. Indeed, it is. In fact, I think that the horrific brutality that they inflict is so over the top that if people were aware of it, they would turn on the ANC for its failure to protect citizens. Frankly, if this domestic terrorist simply just murdered people and didn't torture and abuse them and disfigure them, cut testicles off, cut fingers off, cut breast off, and electrocute people and burn people, if they weren't doing that, then they'd probably be more successful. But they're unfortunately successful enough. So the question from Olaf, Jannie, was, do you have any idea how many people attended today? A lot of people were asking about that, and I have no idea how many people were there. It was difficult to tell.
I spoke to Donnie van der Westhuizen afterwards. I interviewed him. You haven't seen that yet. I will post it. And I asked him about the size of the event. I didn't think it was attended by so many people, but it was difficult to say because they were spread out over a big area, you know, towards the back and the sides and so on. But what he did convey to me was that this was the best attendance that they have had to date.
Okay.
So and there were many people there. If I have to guess, I would say probably 1,500 to 2,000 people, which for an event like this out in that.
Oh, come on, signal. Come on, signal. Come back. Signal. Looks like we've lost contact with Jannie again with his poor signal there. Let me see. He's still there, but I will take him off the screen for a moment, and then we'll know when he goes away if I lose the window. But anyway, so yeah. So what Jannie was saying is that his estimation was 1,500, 2,000. It was the best attended of these WitKruis monument ceremonies yet. Folks, bear in mind, I think that's where Jannie was going, that this is not exactly located next to a major metropolitan area. It's way out there, and it's quite a drive for people coming up from Gauteng and from other parts like Northwest to get to there. So it's not surprising that you're not seeing tens of thousands of people. Okay, we've lost Jannie there. He'll come back hopefully here shortly. But in the meantime, I'll do this. So, yeah, so it's not surprising if, in fact, that was the case, that we had a limited number of folks who came up there. But nonetheless, it was the largest outpouring. I think a far better example of the support and the awareness people are trying to bring to this is the biker rally from a few weeks ago, in which 41,000, somewhere between 31 and 41,000 motorcycles were present driving around Pretoria in the High Veld taking place there. Amazing. That was just in Pretoria. Of course, we had Cape Town, Nelson Mandela Bay. Even in Durban, there were motorcyclists out all over the country, folks. It was absolutely astonishing. Okay, here comes Jannie again. We're having fun with this one here. Quite the effort to keep the signal going there. So let's see if he gets in. I've welcomed him in, but he's not in yet. So let me see what's going on there. Okay, joining. Okay, he's joining. There we go. Okay, joining. All right, cool. All right, Jannie, welcome back.
Hey.
I think the red ants have your number, my friend.
So we'd better speak quick. I also spoke to Lati. Remember, you asked me to see whether I can interview her. And she said to me she's very willing to speak to you to come on your program.
Brilliant.
One can set it. Just, I think I've got a phone number somewhere that I saw on Facebook. So she is willing as well. And I said to her, you know what, because she started this, I think a group of people started it in about 2004, 2005. And it wasn't getting anywhere. And she then took it over at a certain stage and dedicated her life to this. Mm-hmm. Apparently, she lost a member of family as well in a farm attack. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, you know, she's a very, humble person. Sitting on the side there, not trying to get the limelight. And I said to her, you know what, Letty? You're one of the first who make people aware of what is going on. And because of that, you're actually one of the leaders. Do you realize it? It's a small funk, small little spark that at the right time, right moment, ignites the bush. Isn't it true? And this is what she's done. It's, she's waited how many, 15 years before momentum is now being gained. And I said to her, she needs to get the exposure. She needs to come on social media and get the exposure because she is a leader, whether she wants it or not. I think there are a couple of people like that out there, very humble. Afrikaners we're not groot back, we're not loudmouths. A lot of very, very humble people. But what is heartening to see also there, the younger generation that turned out there, the singers, Jannie, Steve, and others, and they are busy with what I call verset music. It is revolutionary music. It is songs longing for a better future, thinking of the past. It's not incitement. It's fantastic. And a lot of these people were born just before the end of apartheid or afterwards. And they are aware. They are aware and they're waking up. And those are the leaders and the people of the future. Fantastic. And one of them will get up, or a couple of them will get up and take the lead in a supernatural way.
Well, Jannie, you're talking about something that can't be diminished here. And in fact, the evidence I can show you is how powerful entertainment and celebrities can be. Look at the United States, where the entertainment industry is wholesale on the left and the impact they have. Seeing Afrikaners with music, and I've been talking about this for a long time. About 4 years ago, I wrote an article about the Renaissance or the Golden Age for Afrikaans pop music, specifically talking about is this the Golden Age? Because the oppression of the apartheid state is lifted, and people are able to express themselves. We have new generation of singers, and we have some very amazing music out there. We talked about some of this, of course, Bok van Blerk's Delare, which terrified the ANC years ago, but was nothing more than a call to say, hey, where are our leaders? Who will be our Delare? We need a leader today. And then, of course, the most recent...
Band at Loftus.
What's that?
Band at Loftus. Band at Loftus.
Yeah.
Not allowed to say band at Loftus. Can you believe it?
No, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It just shows the deep state nonsense that takes place all over the world, including South Africa. But the most recent song, the absolutely beautiful song with great cinematography, wonderful song, Die Land, with Steve Hofmeyer and Bobby van Jaarsveld and all those guys together. Die Land behoort aan jou, ek beloof jou. It's a beautiful song, wonderful song. And so the power of music, and also not along those lines, not a political, but one to celebrate South Africa, from my favorite artist in South Africa, who's Giselle. Giselle's, of course, she's a born meisie from Grootfontein in Namibia. But she recorded a song called Suid-Afrika. It's an anthem for South Africa. It's absolutely beautiful, and it evokes evokes all the emotion and the history and the glory of those who built the country. And so I agree with you that these artists can play a big role. Now, Steve he's on the long tooth, the older side of this, like you and I are, but he's still a very influential person, and as an artist is helping create attention, awareness for this. It's great to see artists get involved. Some, of course, don't want to risk contracts or opportunities to do things, but they're still out there. It looks like I've lost Jannie again. He just froze up there. Let me go back to switch to all participants. No, he's still there according to that. So I'll turn him off so instead not just frozen, but there you go. Hopefully he'll come back. But yeah, but musicians can play a big role, ladies and gentlemen, in what's happening. Artists and celebrities actually have a major role to play. They can influence people immensely and can galvanize support. And while much of that I see here in the United States is not stuff that I'm encouraged by, in the Afrikaans community in South Africa, I'm very encouraged by musical artists and actors who have stepped forward to draw attention to the plight of people in South Africa, but not just Afrikaners, but to all South Africans who are suffering under the callous disregard of the African National Congress. So Jannie's dropped off again there. Sorry about that. So hopefully we'll get him back, folks. Erica, that's right. Thank you, Erica. I did forget Winston's new song, Hier Bly Ek Boa. Yes, that's right. That's a new song from Winston Smile. My apologies for that, Erica. Thank you for reminding me of that. This kind of music is fantastic to stir people's hearts and get them involved. Hopefully we'll get Jannie back very soon. But ladies and gentlemen, let me just update you on what's going on here. So you're listening to Chris White Africa on the Indaba Africa channel here on YouTube. And welcome on this lovely Saturday. Beautiful weather here in central Pennsylvania, the heartland, so to speak, of the East Coast of the United States. We have great weather today. I guess it means I'll have to mow my lawn today because I was in Wyoming for the past week. But it's September 19th, 2020. Here we are in the midst now of 9 months of coronavirus and 7 months or 6 months of lockdown, capricious overreach of governments around the world, particularly in South Africa and also here in Pennsylvania, where our governor, Tom Wolf's draconian, unconstitutional actions in restricting our freedom, shutting down small and medium-sized enterprises, was in fact declared unconstitutional this past Monday by a federal district judge in the Western District of Pennsylvania, who said that his actions violated the U.S. and the Pennsylvania constitutions. And of course, his typical bureaucratic leftist response, progressives, well, they're mistaken. We shall appeal this. Wonderful for you. I think the appropriate thing to do, Governor Wolf, would be to resign from office because you have violated the Constitution, and that is your most sacred responsibility, is to support and defend the Constitution. Just an offer for you. Here comes Jannie. People leaving. Don't go away. But you've been listening so far for about an hour to my Saturday stream here on Chris White Africa on the Indaba Africa channel. Jannie is rejoining me here. Hopefully he'll be with us in a second. Let's see. Okay, come on. Is he there? There he is. Okay. This is fascinating. What's been happening? Are you back? There he is. Wow.
Yeah, I actually noticed that I lost my connection here, so I had to go on to another channel so it's just one of those things living off the grid. I'm terribly sorry.
No, that's quite all right. I'm almost hesitant to ask this, but I'll ask it anyway because Joking Atheist adds a lot of, despite his name, the Joking Atheist, he adds a lot of good commentary and questions. So I'm going to ask his question. He says for Jannie, he says, it sounds like he's a proponent of prophecy. Does he follow Senior? I guess we're talking about Senior, the prophet, the Afrikaans prophet.
When Niklas van Rensburg, Senior van Rensburg.
Yes, that's him.
I've got a lot of respect for him. What he's done, he's made General de la Rey famous. I don't know whether have you ever read the book about him? I think there's an English version out there.
I do have a biography of de la Rey, and I think it actually is from him.
Yeah. So just to answer, I listened to him, and I have seen. And I know that what he's predicted in the past, specifically where the khakis were, the English were when they were in commando and warning de la Rey, etc. And that did come true. And that does give credibility, as far as I'm concerned, to his prophecies. I have great respect for him. I have got a lot of respect for people who, in fact, believe in him. I think a lot of what is going to happen and is still open for interpretation. And I think that there are very many individual viewpoints out there and people predicting and saying, we are die nacht van die lang messe, the nights waiting for the night, the long knives, I know that goes back a long way. When my dad was a child, they had neighbors who actually staunchly believe in that, and it didn't happen. I believe that these prophecies are playing out as we speak. I think that a lot of the country is already on fire. Yes, it will escalate. Most important thing that we can do is to pray. We cannot second guess him, I don't believe. I think that you need another prophet or somebody with a special gift to, in fact, interpret his predictions. What I do find a little disturbing is...
Frozen again. All right. Wow. Interesting. Well, folks, you're hearing once again Yanni's connection is frozen. So I think what we'll do is if Yanni comes back, we'll get some final comments from Yanni for the stream because obviously he's not in the best of areas for connection. And my apologies for folks to keep disrupting the stream. But I want to thank everybody so far who's tuned in for this stream. It's been very interesting for me. I hope that you found it interesting. And especially my thanks so far to Yanni, who on short notice agreed to come on and talk about these events. And we learned a bit about his background, which I think is fascinating. But I'm not dropping off yet. I'm just making sure that I want to thank folks for tuning in. So yeah, it's there. Okay, he's gone. Let's see if we get him back here. There we go. Okay, so I have to push a button to make sure that things come back up. So folks, yeah, you're listening to Chris White Africa on the Indaba Africa channel here on YouTube on a Saturday, September 19th, 2020. Many months into the lockdown. And I was going to get to my next question with Yanni, and that question was going to be about lockdown, its impact on him and his experience with lockdown, because everybody's had while we've had similar experiences, people have had individual experiences. I'm just curious to what they say. Jeanette just joined in. What is uhuru? Uhuru is a Swahili word, and it means like Ubuntu, togetherness, peace, that sort of thing. Joking Atheist says, always, thank you, Chris. Gremlins and all, great show. Got it right. Okay, Joking Atheist, take care. Thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. Had a really good audience thus far today with well over 100. Here comes Yanni. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to get some last comments from Yanni because this is getting frustrating, I'm sure, for the audience. All right, so once he gets up here, let me do this here. Nope, not there. Oh, he didn't come in. There he is. There he is. Okay. All right. Yanni, let's do this because you obviously don't have a great connection there. Let me get to a final question here and wrap up. We're over an hour now, which is fine. So listen, I just want to ask you very quickly from your perspective about the lockdown. Everyone has their own individual experiences with the lockdown. You're an architect. Obviously, business is dried up, I would imagine, because of this nonsense. But from your personal experience, what's this lockdown been like? I mean, we've seen people who have out of Christian faith and goodness have tried to give charitable donations to starving South Africans, only to be arrested for it. Our own subscriber here, Erica, was nearly arrested for giving food to the needy. And then we see that the ANC government and police officials steal that food and then sell it or keep it and hoard it for themselves. It's absolutely crazy what's happened in South Africa. What's been your experience with lockdown thus far?
I think it's draconic. I think it's totally unsuitable for the situation where we've got millions of squatters living in huts, and that was forcibly enforced by the army and by the police to keep them in their huts. There was a lot of violence in the streets, specifically against those people. There were also, in certain areas in the country, whites being targeted. We were treated like school children. It's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I think if I was in power, the practical situation would have been wear a mask and get a deodorant or something, one of these medical ointments, and clean it and keep your hands clean. Most squatter camps don't have water. How are going to keep themselves clean?
Yeah.
The corruption. Who pays 177,000 rand for one tank of water?
We lost Yanni again. Wow. Okay, that's crazy. I think I've lost Yanni again. Wow. Okay, so wow. That's very frustrating, folks. Okay, so let me do this very quickly here. No, he's still there on that one, so that's a strange one, but turn the wrong one off. Okay, folks, I think we're going to have to end it because of the connection there. So we did get some feedback from Yanni. I'm going to go ahead and close out the stream. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. It's been a pleasure to have you guys here. And let me just get Yanni into the waiting room there. I don't know why we've lost him there. Sorry. So Yanni, put him in the waiting room. Okay, so I can get back to this view here. All right, folks, this has been quite an interesting stream. I thank you for tuning in on this Saturday. I apologize for the hiccups there, but it's the network. We can't control it. We have the most expensive non-working internet in the world. You also have one of the most expensive internets in the world there in South Africa, Steve. It's outrageous, the charges. I know because I was a victim of South Africa's mafia-like prices when I lived in Botswana because they overcharged Botswana for access. And so we used satellites, which were cheaper than getting landline data connections from South Africa. It's absolutely insane. Anyway, folks, thanks for tuning in. I will do a stream later today for the Night Owl edition. And you can come back and we'll talk more about my trip to Wyoming. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind. And maybe I'll make it a members night. But I did want to acknowledge very quickly, I want to thank, we got a new member here, although I was surprised to see it's a new member, so that kind of confused me. But John Jarvis, not a new member, rejoined. Sorry, okay, John Jarvis rejoined. I was going to say, you've been a member. And Deborah De La Fontaine, who joined yesterday, thank you so much. Tian is renewed, renewed yesterday as well, I believe it was. 2 days ago. So thank you guys so much for that. Really do appreciate the support for the channel. It's, well, Yanni's trying to come back in, but I'm going to, okay, I'll let him in, but then we're just going to say goodbye, okay, if he gets in here. We'll just do that really quickly, but I was just going to drop off. But if Yanni gets in here for just a moment, we'll say goodbye. And, okay, he's coming up. Okay, Yanni, you've come back up. Let's just close it out and say goodbye here, and then give you any last thoughts from you before you get cut off again.
Yes, I just want to thank you for the opportunity given me to assist you to spread the message, our message, which is more important than any one individual. It's people like you, Chris, and others like Scott and others who are making a difference. And on behalf of all our people here and everybody who attended today at WitKruis, we salute you and we thank you.
All right, Yanni, thank you so much. Bye-bye, Donkey, for everything, for reaching out to me, for the coverage you did up there, for your efforts to overcome the network issues, both in the field at the WitKruis Monument site and also here from where you're sitting in an undisclosed location deep in the bowels of some building somewhere hidden in the high veld, I'm guessing. But anyway, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Listen, Yanni, we'll get you back on here. Also, you and I need to coordinate to get Lita and some of these other folks on the channel.
Yes.
Plus, the interviews that you did, you're going to forward to me. I'll be airing some of those, folks. So thank you all for tuning in. My many, many thanks to Yanni. It's been quite a long day already, but now I've got work to do to prep for my teaching next week. Also, I have another stream coming up in about 2 hours, so I'll get ready for that. Yanni, take care of yourself. God bless, and thank you for all that you did today. Really do appreciate it. I'm going to put you in a waiting room, and I'm going to close out the show, okay?
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, cheers. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. That was Jannie Meyer, who has joined me today to talk about this situation with the WitKruis Monument and farm murders in South Africa, as well as a host of other topics. I hope that you found this discussion interesting, informative, illuminating. I did see some comments in the chat where people said, wow, you've got me thinking. I hadn't even thought about that. So that's kind of what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. We want to get people to thinking. But please allow me to add on to this that while the Afrikaans, the Afrikaner and the Boer communities definitely feel under assault, and with good reason, I think that, in fact, in many respects, they are under assault. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone from, there are people and voices around the world that do care about what's happening in South Africa. But I'm saying within South Africa alone, I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, the press is doing a wonderful job of covering it up and hiding the fact, but millions of other South Africans are full of all this horse manure and what's happening there. And quite frankly, they stand in solidarity with those who are suffering in rural South Africa and across South Africa and the Afrikaans-speaking community, whether it's whites, Afrikaners, Boers, or coloreds in South Africa. Many stand with you. And those voices are being silenced by a duplicitous media. And so we'll do our best to bring these voices to you and keep sharing them with them so people are aware of what's happening. Folks, I want to thank you all for tuning in. And thank you so much for a great audience. We were over 100 for a long time. And that's the best audience so far this week since I got back. Not my largest audiences, but getting back in the swing of things. So I'm very grateful for that. By the way, for those who don't know, Jeremy Nell, Germ Warfare, has been pulled off of YouTube. I did get a message from him saying that his channel is gone. I don't know if you can find it. I haven't searched for it, and I don't know if they're allowing to do prepared videos, but he basically told me that he's gone. I don't know the genesis of that. I did see that he had an interview with the Kiffness, his lead singer, on there, and then they sent him a notice. I don't know what the notice is about, but it just gives you another example, ladies and gentlemen, of how easily folks can disappear. We've seen Katie Hopkins banned from Twitter, and just overnight what happened to her with her millions of followers because the tech titans' feelings were hurt. Well, let's hope that we can continue to broadcast here on this channel because we don't attack people. We simply state the truth and state the facts. And as you see, even people who are my viewers try to get me to say, hey, what about this? What about that? And I'm a person that tries to stick in grounded in fact as best as possible. I will talk about supposition, rumor, and innuendo, but will clearly identify it as such when I do that. I like to stick to the facts as best as possible. And then I offer my analysis based on my experience and my, well, I would like to say intellect. Anyway, folks, yeah, BitChute, but what about BitChute? Everybody keeps saying BitChute, but just like Patreon, that sounds nice, but it's not as simple as you make it out to be. Eric, the impression I got from Germ was that it was permanent. He sent me a message, and I think it was permanent. I was half asleep when I read it, so maybe I missed something. But anyway, folks, listen, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to my guest, Jannie, Meyer. I really appreciate everything you did today, as I mentioned already, but I thank you again. Also, thanks for the members who've renewed. Anyone that's interested in becoming a member of Chris White Africa and support the channel, you're welcome to do it. It's easy to do. You go right below the video. There's a join button down there. You smash it. If you have a credit card associated with Google, Alphabet, or with YouTube, you'll just go ahead and punch in your data there, and you can get billed for it. It's not an expensive option. It's not a fundraiser for me. Trust me, I make more money per hour doing consulting than I make in 3 weeks off of that, or a month off of that. It's because people ask for it, and it's a sense of community and people who want to contribute if you can afford to do it, if it's something you'd like to do. Set 3 levels of membership. There's a recruit team member. That's $1.99 US, 10 Rand a month in South Africa. Virtually nothing. The next level is the platoon leader. That's $4.99 US. I don't even recall what they charge in South Africa. And then in the top level is master and commander. That's $9.99 per month US. And again, I don't recall what they charge in South Africa. But if you want to become a member, please feel free to do that. If you're curious about how YouTube works, I did a video some time ago explaining how memberships, subscriptions, and super chats and all those things work on YouTube. And that you're welcome to watch that video and understand it for everyone else. Also, feel free to watch my recent video on clicks and the domestic terrorism that took place by the EFF threatening a private enterprise in South Africa. That video is still up on the channel. Please feel free to watch that. And stay tuned for additional videos. I plan to probably do a video maybe tomorrow on the Fairview incident in South Africa, and I'll have some commentary on that. Also, I did a video last night on the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Supreme Court Justice, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was appointed to the court back in 1993 by then President Bill Clinton and served until her passing yesterday. She was a rock rib, solid progressive leftist on the court and left her mark on the court, particularly on the decision related to the Virginia Military Institute, a state-funded institution in Virginia, which was for men only. And the court said that that was unconstitutional, and she was outspoken on that decision. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot for tuning in. Thank you for your comments in the chat. I hope that we addressed them as best we could. Mara Free says, I love dancing to Giselle's songs. Yeah, she's amazing. Giselle's amazing. I haven't heard from them this week. I sent a message. I wonder what's going on with them. Hopefully they're okay. Rudy says, Germ's channel's up. He can't do live streams. Okay, then it must be his live streams are banned forever, apparently. Or he doesn't feel like going through the appeal process. But anyway, yeah, that's Rudy. That's what I had heard from him previously. But then last night I got a message from him saying that his channel was down. So like I said, it was the middle of the night before I got up to do the stream. So maybe I misread it. Anyway, folks, but yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. God bless. We'll be back for the Night Owls edition in a little over 2 hours. So tune in for that. It may be an abbreviated version tonight, so don't worry about staying up too late. Probably just maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half at max, because I do have a lot of work to do and I need to catch up from the trip. Anyway, folks, thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time here on Chris White Africa, hopefully this evening for the Night Owls edition of Stray Voltage. God bless. Be well, and take care of yourself. And listen, as Big Daddy Liberty says, never trust a communist. As Chris Wyatt says, never trust a cadre. Never trust a cadre. There's Jannie. Jannie's in the chat. He's just giving a peace thank you sign, prayer sign. No, thank you so much, Jannie. You were a fantastic guest. I appreciate you participating. Let me go ahead and lock it up and close it out here, folks, and we'll catch you later on the channel if you can tune in. Thank you so much. I'm Joe Biden, and I endorse Chris White Africa. When I was at Robben Island in Soweto with Nelson Mandela back in 1990, I think it was. We were there with the shore lapping up against us in Johannesburg as I visited him at Robben Island Prison. And I remember that quite vividly as someone just handed me a cue card and said, "Oh, Joe, it's not, no, I was in Johannesburg in Soweto. So, no, I didn't meet Nelson Mandela there. I'm sorry, I'm very confused. Perhaps I met him in Nelson Mandela Bay." Oh, come on, man. This is Joe Biden. I endorse Chris Wyatt wholeheartedly. You guys watch Chris Wyatt Africa and take care of yourself. And look at that. Martin van Dijk has just become a member of the Recruit team member level. So thank you so much. Martin, for everyone who becomes a member of Chris Wyatt Africa, I render a hand salute as a 36-year serving soldier. I take great respect in hand salutes. And so I offer you this hand salute. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel. And there you go. And remember, Joe Biden endorses Chris Wyatt Africa. At least he did till he forgot. But that's okay. Kamala will remind him, and she'll tell him he's not allowed to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, have a pleasant day. We'll catch you later. God bless. And don't take any wooden nickels.